How's it going, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the 10 things I wish I knew about Korea before I moved here. Starting off with number 1, I wish I knew that fruits would be so expensive. I've never really been a person to crave fruit, but ever since coming to Korea and finding out how expensive it is here in comparison to the United States, it's almost like double the price. Like for a kilogram of apples, it's about like $7 US. It can get more expensive than that too, especially if it's not in season and stuff. And it's just so expensive. That's like double the price back in the States. So one way to compensate for that is to take daily vitamins, but the better way is to find traditional marts or street vendors, and they'll sell fruits for about half the price. It's a little bit more tedious because you have to go more out of your way usually, depending on where you're located in Korea. But when you do find them, they're a lot cheaper than your supermarkets. They're usually like half the price sometimes, and you're also supporting the local businesses there. And usually it's a lot of like the older Korean people who are selling those fruits, and so it's very helpful for them. So do that. Okay, number 2, Korea is very cold, but it's also very hot, especially if you're in the Daegu area. I mentioned this before, but Daegu gets extremely hot in comparison to the rest of Korea. But on the other note, it also gets really cold here. And I'm from Colorado, and it snows a lot there, so it gets fairly cold. But Korea, for some reason, their cold hits differently. Like it chills your bones, and so be prepared for the cold here. Okay, number 3, and we're gonna talk about the restaurant culture a little bit. And one of that is that you don't have to tip, so that's a really nice thing. I mentioned this before, and it's still one of my favorite things here about Korea is that you don't have to tip. That saves a lot of money over time, and it makes going out to eat in Korea a lot more affordable. And another thing that you need to know about the restaurant culture here is that you don't wait for your bill. So when you're finished eating and you want to pay, you don't like wait for the bill. You just go up to the front counter and then you pay for it. Sometimes some restaurants will leave your bill actually on your table and they will update it as you order, and then you'll take that with you to the front table. If the restaurant that you're at doesn't do that, so what you do instead is you just walk up to the front desk and you just point out the table that you were sitting at, and they'll have your entire order on their computer, and then you'll just pay. One more thing about restaurant culture is that it is very common, and it is actually okay for you to yell to get the attention of the waiter or waitress. So usually in America, you kind of have to wait until your waiter or waitress comes to you and like ask you if you need anything. But here in Korea, you can kind of just be like, hey, over here, I need something. Or sometimes certain restaurants will have like buttons, and you can press the button to get their attention, and it'll ring like a little bell, and it'll notify them that your table needs attention. Here's a common phrase that I use to get the attention of the staff there is either 저기요 or 여기요. So chogyo just means, hey, over there, like over there, you over there, come here, please, essentially. And yogyo means, oh, over here, I need like help over here. If you're ever in a restaurant and you need the attention of the staff, either yell chogyo or yogyo, one or the other will get a staff member's attention, and then they'll come over. All right, number 4, I mentioned this before, but Korea is very, very card friendly. So that's a really great thing for a lot of travelers. You don't have to carry cash around you. And so with that in mind, I do want to again recommend for you guys to get a no foreign exchange fee debit card or credit card before coming here, and then dumping that money that you're planning to spend in Korea or use in Korea into that account. That way you'll save even more money and not have to worry about bringing wads of cash, and you don't have to worry about the exchange fee. Okay, so moving on to number 5, T-money cards. So something kind of like this. They come in all sorts of variation forms. Mine is kind of ugly because I got this at the airport, but these are the best and most convenient way for you to use public transportation here in Korea. You can also use this for convenience stores. Certain stores like Olive Young, I think, accepts them, and other stores accept them as forms of payment. But overall, they are the best way for you to travel throughout Korea here using the public transportation. So basically, it's just a rechargeable transportation card. You can recharge it at any convenience store, and in Seoul, you can also recharge it at their kiosk machines. All you have to do is place the card on there, and you put cash in and it should reload. And what you do is usually either on the bus or on the subway, you just tap this on the sensor, and before you get off the train or the bus, you tap it on the sensor again. And the nice thing about these is that when you tap to get out of the bus, you can also transfer to a different bus or transfer to the subway for free. All right, number 6. Oh, this is probably my least favorite one, and that is that there's a lack of personal space here in Korea. I mean, there have been so many times where I've bumped into someone, and it's not because, there's a lack of area for you to walk around. It's simply just because they are not aware of the personal space around them, and they just bump into you and they don't care. The thing is, it's not seen as rude here either to be bumping into each other. So, I mean, it's like a big cultural difference between like America and Korea, where if you accidentally bump into each other, you kind of apologize. But it kind of irritates you at times. For example, if I'm like at the gym or something and I'm doing squats and people, the squats machines at the gyms, they are fairly relatively close to each other. And if I'm doing squats, they will not wait for you to finish your set or anything. They will kind of like maneuver in between your squat session to try to go in and grab the weights. And it's just like, you can't wait for me to finish 2 reps before you go in. I'm gonna move on to number 7, and that is the beauty standards here in Korea are pretty like crazy high, to be honest. Like if you ever been to the streets of Gangnam, you'll find that all the buildings there are basically plastic surgery buildings. And unfortunately, there's like this very obvious like one blueprint for the standard beauty of Koreans that they go get this plastic surgery for. And if that's not enough, Koreans are also really about brands, especially like rich brands. Looking rich is very important here. I mean, it's important everywhere, I suppose, but more so here than I felt back at home. Like even my kids who are in the lower social economic areas, they go out of their way to make sure that they're having the latest brand, the latest fashion on, the latest tech, the latest phone, like all the time. And they're constantly just making sure that they're up to date with everything, like all the fashion, all the looks and everything. And I've heard that's even worse in Hagwons, where these elementary kids are coming in with like Gucci and like even Louis Vuitton sometimes. And that's just, I think, that blows my mind. But I'm gonna move on to number 8, and that is the drinking culture and the smoking culture here. So these two are very prominent in Korea, more so than I would say back in the States. Now the drinking culture here is pretty interesting. Koreans drink, and they tend to drink a lot, especially soju, because soju is so cheap. I've mentioned this again before, but soju can be anywhere from $1 to $2 US. And also drinking isn't seen as negatively as compared to the States. And I think that's due to the fact that there's ease of public transportation here, and taxis here are relatively cheap as well. So I think if you put all of that combined, people in Korea are more inclined not to drink and drive. I mean, even my school, when we throw like little teacher parties, they openly drink at the schools. So the drinking culture just isn't as frowned upon compared to the States. But the smoking culture here is pretty bad, not gonna lie. I don't think I've gone a single day in Korea where I haven't seen someone or smell someone smoking a cigarette. So many people smoke here, and it's just something that you need to be aware of if you're not a smoker. Yeah, just a lot of people smoke here. Okay, so number 9, the dating culture here is really fast and also in your face. Almost to the point where it's kind of like subliminally in your face. And it kind of sucks. So let me give you guys some examples about how fast the dating culture here is. I don't know if this is true for interracial couples, but I do know this is true for like Korean to Korean couples. So these two couples have been dating for like 2 weeks, and they got matching tattoos. So yeah. Quick story, one of my coworkers started talking to this girl for 2 days, and they became boyfriend and girlfriend, and they were already planning to travel together. So yeah, just, it's so fast. Like, why? And the way it's very subliminally in your face sometimes is that Koreans make it very obvious that they are dating someone. And if you've ever seen a Korean couple out there, they will make sure to let you know that they are a couple. They're wearing matching outfits from head to toe. They are taking cute pictures together. They're being loud about it. They're being so obvious about it. Not only that, but anywhere you go in Korea, it's practically like decorated for couples, especially during the holidays. Especially during Christmas. Like during Christmas, all of my kids who wished me Merry Christmas, they always added either Merry Christmas, teacher. I'm solo this Christmas, or Merry Christmas, teacher, I'm spending it with my girlfriend. And I'm just like, I don't need to know that part, but okay. Okay, so final thing, number 10, Korea in general is very safe. There are a lot of CCTVs here in Korea, more so than I feel comfortable with sometimes, to the point where I feel like I'm always being watched if I'm not in my house. Sometimes I even feel like I'm being watched in my house, you know, like. And so the amount of CCTVs makes Korea pretty safe in general, along with the culture. But that doesn't mean that there aren't dangerous situations in Korea. You know, there are dangerous situations anywhere you go. So I'm not saying that, you know, Korea is 100% safe. But in general, I do mean that for solo travelers, even for men or women, it is fairly safe for you to travel alone here. Even in the middle of the night, I'll see random individuals, male and female, doing like late night runs to like the convenience store to grab something. So I'm just saying that Korea in general has a safer atmosphere than certain places, especially certain places in the States. Also, another thing, North Korea and South Korea are not constantly at a brink of war, okay? I just wanted to put that out there. Like, they're not constantly feuding each other like 24/7. Like, I need to be aware of North Korea like right now. So just throwing that out there for those of you who think like North Korea and South Korea are constantly at war. They're not. So with that said, I am going to finish this off here. Now, I do want to say that everything I said does not apply to every individual out there in Korea. Obviously, not every Korean is like this. Not every Korean is constantly, you know, repping the latest fashion and things like that. These are just repeating patterns that I've seen on a daily living here for about 2 years. But again, it doesn't mean every individual falls into these patterns. So I hope you guys found this interesting or fun. And if you guys like this, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Have any other questions, make sure to comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, peace out.